AITA for calling the police on roommate's GF to get her out of our house while he was at work. About 2 weeks ago, my roommate, Dave, 23, invited his GF, Julie, 22, to stay after she was evicted. Dave asked me if she could stay with us till she found a place beforehand, and I agreed. We seemed to get along, and she really didn't bother me and seemed to stick to the house rules we had. So all was fine. Now, a few days ago, I was staying over at my friend's house, and my friend happens to bump into Julie's Instagram account, and this girl was taking pictures in my room with my clothes, jewelry, shoes, and she even had a couple racy pictures wearing my lingerie. Basically, she did several photo shoots in my room with my clothing and things. Of course, I lost it. But the worst of it all was these pictures where she was standing on my prayer rug, which is highly important to my faith, with her dirty shoes. She knows how important that prayer rug is to me and my faith, and so is well aware of the disrespect and hurt it would cause. So I cut my visit short and went home immediately the next day. I came home to Julie there and told her everything I knew. She immediately started crying and saying that I am overreacting and that I was scaring her with my anger, etc. To be honest, I was shouting, so that could have been scary for her. I told her to get the fuck out and took back my spare key. She grabbed a couple things and left. We agreed that Dave would bring her the rest of her things. An hour later, she comes back and goes around the back and tries to enter through the back door. I happened to be in the kitchen and shouted at her to go away. I warned her several times that I'd call the police if she tried to push in. She kept at it and finally got in, and true to my word, I called the police. The police arrived and asked her several times to just leave, but she kept arguing with them, and the officer got annoyed and arrested her. She spent the night at jail, and as she didn't have her phone on her, she left it in her car. She couldn't contact Dave. When Dave came home from work later that day, he greeted me like normal, and that was not what I expected, so I said, "Have you spoken to Julie?" And he goes, "No." So I told him everything, and this man started yelling at me, telling me I was an a-hole, and took things too far by calling the police. Now I feel like I didn't do anything wrong, but Dave's rant gave me pause. He felt like I should have let him deal with it or something. Did I handle this like an asshole? I don't feel like I did, but maybe my anger is blinding me to see things differently. Clarification. The officers initially asked her to just leave. They tried talking to her for at least 15/30ths of a minute and explained how they'd rather not arrest her, but she kept shouting and swearing at me and them. Eventually, one of the officers told her that if she didn't leave by the count of 5, he'd arrest her. He then counted to 5. She didn't leave as was requested, and they arrested her. Some extra clarification. When we found her Insta page, it was like 3 a.m., and so obviously I couldn't really drive home that late and instead got back home at around 9 or 10 a.m. By that time, Dave was already at work, and honestly, I kinda had tunnel vision and he really didn't come into my mind. Also, Dave doesn't have or use Instagram, so I doubt he knew. This all happened in less than 5 days. For those asking, I am black. I am not part of the Muslim faith. Other religions also use prayer rugs. Commenter said, when she came back after leaving with a couple things, was she there to pick up more of her stuff or there to try to reoccupy the house? Op said, when I told her to leave, we agreed that whatever she couldn't take with Dave would give to her at a later date. She came back because literally her words, "How dare you kick me out?" Commenter downvoted said, did it not occur to you at any point to talk to your roommate and let him handle it? I totally appreciate your anger, but it seems like you could have avoided the nuclear option with both of them by giving him the heads up and an opportunity to deal with it. Oop. To be honest, no, I feel like she took the action to violate, disrespect, and breach all boundaries, so I needed to deal with her and not Dave. I didn't want to even temporarily share a home with a person who had no boundaries, decency, or respect. I asked her to leave. She left. She came back. She broke in. She stayed even after the officer asked her to just leave. She didn't. She disrespected the officers, and she caused her own arrest by not listening to the officers' reasonable instructions. All things could have been avoided if she behaved like a decent person, but she didn't. I feel like Dave has no right to be upset with me. He should be understanding of my feelings. Forget about the disgustingness and oddity of wearing another person's clothing and lingerie. This woman disrespected my faith and centuries of tradition and religion. My great-great-grandparents wove this prayer rug, and they gave their blood, sweat, and tears to protect and keep it in my family. People literally died to keep this in our family, and she knew all of this, and still she decided to use it like a thing rag. Commenter said, lol no NTA. You confronted the culprit for her actions. She escalated the situation by not leaving after being warned. You may want to look into a restraining order or something legally binding her from you and your space. And be very clear with Rumi about why she is not welcome. Whether you or he moves can play itself out, but make sure you cover your bases. She did it once, will probably do it again. Upset, so I actually filmed all the images she posted on Instagram to use as evidence, and I recorded everything from when I first approached her. So she can't even say I threatened her or did anything other than confront her. The officers did look at it as she tried to say I hit her. Lucky we also have cameras around the outside of the house, and so it captured her breaking in and her interaction with the police and me. I downloaded the video and audio files, took it to the police, and they've told me to file a restraining order, which I have done. Editor's note: op doesn't mean she received the restraining order, just that she filed for one. Dave has been staying with her in an Airbnb and only came home today, but he didn't say anything to me other than to grab a couple things. I actually sent all the recordings to him just now, and we'll see what he says, because the story she's been telling him does not match with all that happened. Bopi's faith. I am not Muslim nor Middle Eastern. Just so you know, other faiths use prayer rugs and the majority of Muslims aren't Middle Eastern. I am black of part Ethiopian descent, and I am part of a monotheistic faith called EBWAC. It is unfortunately dying out. We have maybe less than 20,000 followers spread across the globe. You would find, I would say, 90-95% of us in the Horn of Africa where it originated, and most keep it a secret since they are still persecuted or ostracized for practicing it. People quite literally still die to this day for practicing it. Many of us practitioners don't share our traditions and culture due to fear, and very little is written about the faith, so you will find very little online, but still feel free to Google it. We are a very small and tight-knit community, and it is often frowned upon to share our practices, so there is a lot of secrecy shrouded around it, which is why I am very protective and careful of my faith. It predates the Abrahamic faiths, and with the ushering in of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism in the Horn of Africa, it started to die out and literally is about to die out with the next generation. Commenter said, did she post the disrespecting of the prayer rug on Instagram too, thinking it would get her more followers or something? Pretending the fancy clothes are hers are one thing, but the whole rug thing is batshit crazy. That wasn't envy of her nice things, that was straight up hate. What a psychopath. Op said, my prayer rug is never used as it is far too old and fragile to use and was handed down through the generations. So even I have never taken a picture of it or shown it off. I believe only 4 non-members of my faith have ever seen it. My father, a guy at TSA, Dave, and Julie. She had seen it once before when I was cleaning it, and I explained how important it was to me, so she wasn't unaware. But still she went out of her way to find it, unwrap it, and place it on the floor. The prayer rug is about the size of a large pillowcase, and in the picture she sat on it with her legs crossed, and another she was laying her head on it with the phone angled down. She also took one where she was showing her dirty heels off on it. She posted it on Instagram. She said she did it because it was pretty, bohemian, spiritual looking, and because you don't often come across silk and gold-threaded items. This is an update on my dilemma with Julie and Dave. He truly thought she took one of my kimono robes or something, and that I was overreacting. He watched all the recordings, and he called me to profusely apologize for not believing me. He spoke to Julie about the recording and questioned the story she was telling him. After some talking, she basically told him that she was envious of the things I had. And since she was trying to be an Insta-influencer, she needed to constantly have new things to post. She also said that she felt like me having luxury expensive lingerie and undergarments was a waste because no one got to see it. And since she couldn't afford lingerie from Brodel, Agent Provocateur, Guia La Bruna, etc., I was being a selfish ass for not sharing, and so she felt like she deserved it more. I keep a fairly private online life and don't feel comfortable posting scantily dressed pictures of myself, nor do I wear it outside. I have no issues with others doing so. I just don't. So she wanted to show my things off to people who would appreciate it online since I wouldn't and didn't. She took the pictures with them to get more traffic, etc., and apparently it was a hit since she got more followers, engagement, and was even getting requests for sponsorships for more luxury item sellers on Insta. The craziest part is she was doing this for far longer than the 2 weeks she was living with us. Some of the pictures were taken months ago. Can you imagine my shock that I have basically been sharing undies with her for months? You can't imagine how this is seeking with my mind. Also, her roommates got her evicted for the exact same reason. She was stealing things from them and taking pictures with their things while pretending that she's some jet-setting trust fund kid. I am not rich or even comfortable. I don't come from wealth. I just like certain things and save and skimp for months, years to get the expensive luxury items I have, and I take very good care of my things. Her envy is very confusing to me since she actually comes from money, not trust fund money, but still money. She still has the pictures up on Instagram, but Dave was able to get her to delete the ones with my prayer rug. She refused to remove the other ones, and honestly the most important thing for me was protecting what my family has protected for centuries. Dave seems to be truly genuine in his regret. Also, it does help that he offered to replace all the things she violated. He also broke up with her.